I'm just keeping it, I'm just keeping it, I'm just keeping it, yeah. Give them something, they give them something, they give them something, they yeah. If they tired of being stressed out and been depressed about it, you say, we gon' let you know.
Yo, it's official, like a referee with a whistle. So like and share this episode. So the question of the day is why I don't travel around the world and become a digital nomad like a lot of these guys that you see on YouTube. That's what somebody asked me. I never nobody ever asked me this question. But I can talk about my experience. But first off, I've traveled the world already. I already done that. I done that a long time ago. And I still continue to travel to this day, but I don't go as much as I would like because of the climate that we're in. You know, it's out of tension static amongst a lot of these countries. And I don't want to be somewhere in some country and I can't get out of there. Or I'm in the shits right along with them. I don't, so I just chose. I haven't left North America in 5 years. I just choose not to, go anywhere. I haven't left the country in 5 years. It's been a long time since that has happened. But like I said, it's because there's a lot of tension, a lot of static, a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East, stuff going on in Mexico, and I don't want to get caught up. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how shit could go left between these governments and everything and politicians and everything. You know what I'm saying? So I've traveled all over the world. I've been to Europe, Asia, all these places, and a lot of these countries, man, I wasn't really impressed when I was doing a lot of traveling, going to all these I wasn't really impressed, man. And when I say that, people kind of surprised. I'm like, I just wasn't impressed like that, bro. Some of these places were nice, but I wouldn't go back. I just didn't. The first problem I have is the food. When it comes to going to a lot of these places, I don't like the food. That's the biggest problem I have, and there's a lot of poverty in a lot of these places. They got slums. I mean, their poverty makes over here look like paradise. I mean, the hoods in America ain't got shit on the slums and some of these other countries. God damn. I don't want to be around that shit because number one, I didn't grow up in the hood. I grew up in the country, in a small town. So I didn't grow up in poverty or struggling. I didn't grow up like that. So I don't want to go to another country where it's people struggling and going to the favelas and all that shit. I don't understand. I don't understand when I'm looking at a video and you have people going to the favelas or going to the slums, doing videos, hanging out, talking to people. I'm like, why are you even there, bro? You're not from there. You could be slaughtered. You're number one. Then in any hood, favelas, slums, they don't like cameras. They look at you like you police. So why are you risking your life doing that video? But I don't understand that. I don't get why people would do a video there. I mean, hey, if you want to go there and party, okay, knock yourself out if that's what you want. I don't even want to do that. I don't want to visit at all. I don't want to visit there at all. If I know somebody to live there, I'm not going there. I'm not going to a favela in Brazil. And I haven't even been to Brazil yet, but that seems to be like a place where they like to take tours. I'm not going there. I'm not going no favelas in Colombia, Brazil, none of these countries. I'm not doing that shit. I always looked at that shit as kind of, that's just some weirdo shit to me. I don't get it. I don't understand. You know, I really don't get it. And I probably never will get it. Because like I said, I didn't grow up like that. I didn't grow up in poverty. I did not. And I'm not a hood dude. You know, a lot of people think I'm a hood dude. I'm not. You know, I didn't grow up like that. I will defend myself. Don't get it twisted. You know, but, you know, I just didn't grow up like that. I don't, and that's probably why I don't understand why people would want to go there and visit there. Like it's damn tourism or some type of shit. And a lot of these places, the food was the first problem. And when it comes to the people, some of the people are cool. I mean, it's civil, cordial, whatever. Now when it comes to the women, a lot of these women, man, once I get to know them, I turn off after a while. I mean, that's just my reality. Yeah, they look good. A lot of them look good. Yeah, big ass and tits. Yeah, a lot of them look good. But after I get to know them for a while, I kind of get turned off. You know, it's not much there after you smash. That's just a reality. I found a lot of these women to be kind of bored. You know, they don't really have a lot of personality, especially when it comes to Asian women. Asian women, or anybody in that eastern side of the world, basically. There's not a lot of personality over there. People are kind of bored. They got that dry personality. You know, I get bored. That shit bored me after a while. You know, and a lot of these countries are scam countries. A lot of scheming and scamming and ripping off and mistreating people, and people preying on people and all that stuff. So I don't want to be around that shit. You know, that's what most of these countries are all about. You know, even the countries that don't seem like it is, they are. They just, if you go to some place like Japan, or you see a bunch of people, once you've been there for a while, you're going to be like, oh, everybody here just scheming and scamming and taking advantage of people, basically. You know, that's basically what it is. You know, now some countries are much more blatant with it, like Nigeria, you know, Kenya, and, you know, they're more blatant with it. You know, Russia, they're known for the hackers and all that stuff or whatever, you know. But like I said, I just wasn't. These people, the women, they just turn me off after a while, you know. And a lot of them have this attitude, like they have this entitlement attitude, like they try to make us like a cash machine for them. You know what I'm saying? They can, whenever they need some help, they feel like, oh, they should be able to come and ask us for some help. No, I don't owe you shit. I ain't. You know, I'm not supposed to do anything. I'm not. Yeah, you know, they get that entitlement mentality. You know, I've ran into that a couple of times. You know, it's like they feel like, you know, they should be able to, you know, ask you for anything or whatever. You got it. You rich. You from America. It's that type of attitude, you know. And a lot of these broads, they used to dealing with tricks, especially online. Like if you meet a chick online from some other country, well, you don't necessarily gotta be from another country. She can be living in America and be from another country. She don't necessarily have to be staying where she's from at the time, you know. But a lot of them have that mentality, like, you know, they used to dealing with tricks. You know, it's like if you're online on these apps, and you see a girl every week, she going somewhere. Looks like she getting on a plane or on at some resort. 9 times out of 10, she's dealing with a bunch of tricks. You know what I'm saying? She's going to Dubai or going to the Middle East, or maybe she living in the Middle East. And if you ask her what she's doing over there, I work at a store as a cashier or something. It's a bullshit job, something like that. And you might be thinking she's an Arab or some shit like that, but she might have converted and came from one of them African countries, you know, and now she's claiming I came over here to work as a cashier. Come on, man. You left your country to work as a cashier, man. Come on, you know. So a lot of times, these broads got the Arab dudes got them as side chicks. You know what I'm saying? That's what it be most of the time. You have a lot of these Arab dudes will sponsor them and bring them over to Dubai or the UAE or any of these goddamn countries, basically. And so he got a side bitch and his wife. You know what I'm saying? That's what it be. And you know the crazy thing is, a lot of these Arab dudes will get the broad pregnant on the side. You know, because the side broad might be around 5-10 years. You never know. Just depends on how he feels. So that's like a hustle for a lot of these girls. That's why a lot of them be wanting to go to. If you hear them talking about going to the Middle East, 9 times out of 10, they trying to get with some Arab dude that's already married, that's already established. You know, in most cases, that's usually she's cool with being the side dude, side broad, side bitch. She's cool with that. That's like a hustle for them, you know. And these are the type of shit that happens all the time with a lot of these women, you know, because they're used to dealing with tricks. Nobody talks about it, you know. But I learned about it by dealing with a lot of these broads, you know, from all these different countries, from Asia to Australia to all parts of the continent of Africa. You know what I'm saying? That's so you know, I don't want to be around nobody with that mentality, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? So I just kept moving, you know. And see, what happened is I've been a quote digital nomad. I've done that shit for 2 years. I did that. I traveled for 2 years straight. And after that 2 years, I got tired. I want to go back home. This shit it's not that fun going from town to town, country to country, city to city, every so often, every 2 to 3 months, however long I wanted to stay there. That shit ain't fun. Whether you're driving or flying, it's not. I didn't feel it very fun. Some people say that's adventure. Well, that's not adventure to me. That shit is time consuming. You're in a different time zone every other month. Man, hell with all that shit. That shit got old to me. And one thing I learned is every resort you go to is about the same shit. Every tourist spot about the same shit. You know, now every once in a while you might run into a resort city like Dubai or whatever, you know, or Mexico, but ain't too many places that's like that. Aruba, ain't too many places like these places. Outside of those places I just named, these other places like in Florida, they're about the same. They're about the same. Ain't too much different. Florida resort is a Florida resort. It's about the same. Ain't none of them no too much better than the other, really. You know what I'm saying? And if you're in California, same thing. Ain't too many resorts different from each other. It ain't. It's just like a hotel, a big ass hotel. Ain't none of them too much bigger than the other. That some of them might have better service, some of them might have modern design or older design or better service or whatever. But I'm saying a resort is a resort. A big ass hotel is a big ass hotel. A casino is a casino. Some of them might be bigger, smaller, modern, older, better service, whatever the case is. But it is what it is. A casino is a casino. You gonna get what you gonna get when you walk up in there. They're trying to take your money. You know what I'm saying? So, throughout that 2-year time frame, I mean, I had a lot of run-ins with cops, run-ins with people. I had good times and bad times. But through all that 2 years, that 2 years taught me that this ain't really that fun. Yeah, I'm making money along the way, but it ain't really that fun to me, man. ready. I'm ready to go home. Well, at least, see, I didn't have a home at the time, so I had to make a home. So I'm like, I'm going back home. I have to make a new home, at the time. So I ended up going to North Carolina. North Carolina became my new home at the time because I'm from South Carolina, right? So, I got a job. Well, I ended up going to college. And once I graduated college, I started back traveling again for 6 months straight. And after, but this is like, I'm going to say 5 years after I graduated. And when I traveled for that 6 months, I realized nothing really changed out there. Nothing really changed out there. It was the same old shit, basically. The city would have changed a little bit, but the resorts about the same. That's how it was. But I wasn't really impressed when I went overseas. Now, there's some places I like. I like Thailand. Japan is okay. But Japan, I couldn't live in Japan today. I lived in Japan before for 3 years. I couldn't live in Japan today. Japan is a hard place to live. It's just people are not very sociable there. It's hard to meet new people. It's just Japan is the type of place you have to. It's probably best to know someone there before you move there, because it's where you gonna meet people at. The way things are set up, you have to go to a nightclub or a bar or meet people on your job if you got one, and the chances of you getting a job over there if you're a foreigner is slim to none, So most people, a lot of people that move to Japan, if they're a foreigner, they usually get into some type of organized crime. That's what usually happens because they're not. I mean, they can barely supply their own people with jobs. So, I mean, they can't really make room for you. Unless you get a job with one of them big companies like Honda, Sprint, or Microsoft, or one of them type of companies, or get a job with one of those companies where they just can't do whatever they need done, so they got to hire a foreigner, or they need somebody to speak English or something like that. But that's usually the only way you're going to really get a decent paying job. And the cost of living is so goddamn high in Japan. That's one of the highest fucking places in the world to live. So if you're not getting paid a lot of money, you're going to be struggling over there. So it's, now in Thailand is nice. Most of the spots, at least the tourist spots, is nice. I wouldn't live in the countryside or the province. I wouldn't live out there because, they live different. I don't. I ain't raised like that. So I don't. Plus, I'm a tall guy. I'm a bigger guy. So if I would have a hard time if I was living in the countryside of Thailand, because the way they build their houses is for them, for short people. It's not made for a tall person like me. So I would have a hard time. I'd be bobbing my head to get into the door and all that shit. So if I lived in Thailand, I would have to live in the city limits. And living in the city ain't necessarily cheap like it used to be. I mean, it's not as high as living in America, most major cities, but it still ain't cheap as it used to be. But Thailand's nice. People are cool. But there's still a level of scheming and scamming and ripping people off over there. And I don't want to be around that shit. You know, see, that's what you're gonna run into if you live in the tourist areas. You know, but unfortunately, within the tourist areas, you know, it's good and bad. There's pros and cons. You know, but once you leave the tourist areas, there's nothing really convenient out there. See, that's the problem. The convenience is in the city limits. That's the problem with most of these other countries. You know, that's where the convenience is at. But at the same time, that's where the scheming and the scamming and the drugging and all that stuff is at too. And that's where all the weirdo sexual shit is at. The lady boys, and I don't want to be around none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? But if I had to live somewhere in today's time for at least a couple months, it would be Thailand. It would be Thailand for sure. Thailand's doable. People speak English. You know, people are not going to bother you. You know, they ain't really trying to fuck with you like that, especially if you're a foreigner. If you need anything, just ask them and they'll help you out or whatever. You know, it's people kind of easygoing or whatever, you know. Now Japan is people not necessarily easygoing like that compared to Thailand. No. And plus the weather is always warm in Thailand. It gets a little chilly, but for the most part it's warm, you know. And Japan, it gets cold. You know, it's like I think they got 3 seasons over there. You know, I think they got 3 seasons. But it gets cold in Japan. It gets cold in Japan just like it gets cold over here. You know. But them probably the only 2 countries where I would struggle living in Japan today. But Thailand is doable. I can handle it. Like I said, some things I would have to deal with it. It wouldn't be convenient when it comes to everything, you know. But that's about it, man. The rest of the countries that I've been to, Australia is cool, but I couldn't live there. That's like living in America, basically. You know, it is what it is. It's a culture of criminals, really. Yeah, I'm leaving one place and going to another. One hellhole and going to another hellhole. And when it comes to Australia, you know, it might look nice, but I mean, it's the same bullshit going over there, same bullshit going over here. Yeah. Now, I might get treated differently over there. Yeah. But that don't necessarily mean that makes me want to live there. You know, if I was a selfish motherfucker, yeah. But I look at it like this. You treat me one way, but what about my family? What about my friends? Are they going to get treated the same way? Probably not. So see, that's where, you know, that's what I don't like. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't like that. But that's how it is. Because see, in these other countries, they worship. You got to remember, they worship money and celebrities. Always remember that. They worship money and celebrities. And you don't necessarily got to be rich, but they know you got access to more money than them. So if that's the case, if this is what they think, they're going to worship. You probably going to get worship. And then you have certain groups of people who, depending on what country you may be, they white worship. There's something called white worship, where if you're a white dude or a white woman, they roll out the red carpet for you, you know, and you might be you might have a poor upbringing as a white person. But if you go to some place like China or Korea, they'll worship you. They'll roll out the red carpet. You could do no wrong. You could do whatever. And, you know, that exists, you know, but at the end of the day, it's fun to travel, see the world, meet different people. But I'm 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 a Black American. Um, this is where my family is from, born and raised, and my family's still here, and I'm gonna always be here. I'm not moving anywhere else. I'm not going anywhere else, and I'm gonna always be living in the Carolinas. There's no place like living in the Carolinas. I've lived all around this country. Um, I found that the Carolinas is for me. It works for me. Might not work for anybody else, but it works for me. So I'll always be here. This is it's not a perfect place. It ain't no perfect place. You know, I found it ain't no perfect place. You just have to find a place that works for you and your family, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Because I was that guy that was trying to look for the perfect place at one point. It doesn't exist. You know, you just have to find a place that works best for you and try to meet um, people that you can get to know, like, and trust. And that's it. And live life and try to be the best you can be. And that's all you can do. You know what I'm saying? That's really it. So I don't tell anybody that they shouldn't move or shouldn't travel or no, go ahead, go out there and go to these places. You know, you might have a totally different experience than me. You might see things differently than me. You might want to move to another country. Hey, if that works for you, hey, knock yourself out, man. You know. But me personally, I wouldn't move to Colombia and all these Mexico. I would never move in any of these places, because I just don't really like it like that. It's nice to visit, but I don't, I couldn't see myself like moving, letting my citizenship go and moving to Mexico full time. No, no, I could never see that. No, no, But I'm not going to knock anybody else for doing it. Whatever. And but here's the thing that's crazy to me. Another thing that's crazy, besides going to the favela. Another thing that's crazy, you have people that will leave one hood in America and go to another hood or live in the favela in Brazil, Colombia. I'm like, why the fuck would you do that shit? That's another thing that's crazy to me. You leave one struggle and you go into another struggle. That's even worse. I don't understand that shit. You're leaving one struggle, and then on top of that, you got guys that will move in with somebody's parents, and they already got a packed house as it is with their own family, and now they got you up in there with this woman that you claim you're gonna get married to. That shit don't make no sense, man. If I can't take care of myself and my wife and my family in another country, well, damn it, I ain't supposed to be there. I'm not doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going to struggle, I'm gonna keep my ass here in America, in North America. I'm not going to South America and struggle, or going to Japan and struggle, or going to Thailand and struggle, or going to Australia and struggle. I'm not doing that shit. That's the craziest shit that I've seen, that a lot of people do. They'll leave one struggle and go to the next struggle. No. What are we doing? That doesn't make any sense to me, But you see a lot of these guys and gals do this shit, And a lot of these guys and gals I've interviewed over the years, and a lot of them, man, to be honest, a lot of them ain't rap so tight. Seems like something a little off, but a lot of them, especially a lot of the women. And a lot of the women, they be getting ran through a lot when they be traveling from country to country, city to city. They be getting ran through. And that's another thing that a lot of people don't realize. These women have psychological problems that stay in these other countries. And most of them are in danger, by the way. They done been through some old wild, crazy shit, and they get ran through a lot. That's another thing. And they don't really have no friends because you can't really have no friends if you're traveling all the time. If you moving around every month or 2 or 3 months to a new place, you can't establish no friends. You can't establish no relationships like that. So what usually happens is the girl gets ran through. And over, you got people that's been traveling like this for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And over time, man, they just have psychological problems. It's been ran through so many times. They done been through so much shit. They don't know if they coming or going. It's sad, but a lot of these women, they traveling doesn't really serve them well. Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh, I had fun. Had fun doing what? Getting ran through. That's not really fun, And it don't really benefit me. All they had was a job the whole time. No investments. All they had was a job for 5, 10, 20 years and hopping from country to country, city to city. That's it. It was no benefit the whole time. They were just having fun. Well, here's the deal. Life ain't all about fun all the time. You got to get that out of your mind. Who said life was all about fun all the time? And see, a lot of these people are going to these countries for extended amount of times. A lot of them are looking for something, or they're trying to find themselves. But see, here's the deal. When I was traveling to these countries, I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't trying to find myself. I already knew who I was. At the time, so I didn't approach it like they did. Just like you have a lot of people trying to find themselves, and they'll go from different countries and they'll start wearing the people's clothes over there, wearing dashikis and shit. I've never worn nobody else's clothes. I don't want to wear none of that shit. I got my own shit. I like my clothes that I wear. I don't want to wear nobody else's shit. And I already know who I am. So I wasn't searching for nobody or searching for a new identity or anything like that. So, but that's just my experience. You might disagree. You might start traveling, might have a total different experience than me. And that's cool. Do whatever works for you. But I'm telling you, I was not impressed. And I never thought about moving to another country, none of that shit. I never thought about getting, I just visited and bring my ass back home. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, share this episode. Tell me what you think. What's been your experience? Don't forget to subscribe. And next time, I'm out. Peace.
Alright. Just got the call, it's going down tonight. It's a lot of goodbyes here tonight. But then I saw the sky and that I like.